Good Friday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversations Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Well, we made it to the end of another week. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up today. We have the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and today, in an entertainment spotlight, you've been part of my conversation with author Cheryl Gray Hines discussing her book, In Support of Myself. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with their Friday headlines. In Mississippi news, the Mississippi State Department of Health has reported 920 new COVID-19 cases and 8 additional deaths. There have now been in Mississippi 292,811 COVID-19 cases and 6,613 coronavirus-related deaths in the state since March of 2020. Mississippi is working to administer the COVID-19 vaccine as quickly as possible, according to the state governor, Tate Reeves, who is eligible. Teachers, staff, and employees in K-12, preschool, or child care settings, public safety personnel including law enforcement, public safety, fire services, and emergency management officials, adults age 65 and older, and anyone 16 to 64 with a chronic health condition that may put them at higher risk of COVID-19. In more COVID-19 news, amid COVID-19 pandemic, flu has disappeared in the U.S. February is usually the peak of flu season, with doctors' offices and hospitals packed with suffering patients. But not this year. Flu has virtually disappeared from the U.S., with reports coming in at far lower levels than anything seen in decades. Experts say that measures put in place to fend off the coronavirus, mask wearing, social distancing, and virtual learning, were a big factor in preventing a twindemic of flu and COVID-19. A push to get more people vaccinated against flu probably helped too, as did fewer people traveling, they say. Another possible explanation? The coronavirus has essentially muscled aside flu and other bugs that are more common in the fall and winter. Scientists don't fully understand the mechanism behind that, but it would be consistent with patterns seen when certain flu strains predominate over others. Nationally, this is the lowest flu season we've had on record, according to a surveillance system that is about 25 years old, said a representative of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Hospitals say the usual steady stream of flu-stricken patients never materialized. In national news, authorities say Capitol assault much bigger than intel suggested. The acting U.S. Capitol Police Chief was pressed to explain Thursday why the agency hadn't been prepared to fend off a violent mob of insurrectionists, including white supremacists who were trying to halt the certification of the presidential election last month, even though officials had compelling advance intelligence. The acting chief denied that law enforcement failed to take seriously warnings of violence before the January 6th insurrection. 3 days before the riot, Capitol Police distributed an internal document warning that armed extremists were poised for violence and could attack Congress because they saw it as the last chance to try to overturn the election results. But the assault was much bigger than they had expected. There was no such intelligence. Although we knew the likelihood for violence by extremists, no credible threat indicated that tens of thousands would attack the U.S. Capitol, nor did the intelligence received from the FBI or any other law enforcement partner indicate such a threat. Later, under questioning by the House Subcommittee Chairman, Representative Tim Ryan, the acting chief said that while there may have been thousands of people heading to the Capitol from a pro-Trump rally, about 800 people actually made their way into the building. The acting chief conceded that the agency's incident command protocols were not adhered to and that there was a multi-tier failure. Officers were left without proper communication or strong guidance from their supervisors as the insurrectionist mob stormed into the building. In more national news, ties with Saudis at stake as U.S. releases findings on killing. The United States has pledged to tell the world its conclusions on what role Saudi Arabia's crown prince played in the brutal killing and carving up of a U.S.-based journalist, but as important is what comes next, what the Biden administration plans to do about it. Ahead of the release of the declassified U.S. intelligence report, President Joe Biden was expected to speak to the Saudi king as soon as yesterday for the first time since taking office more than a month ago. It will be a later-than-usual courtesy call to the Middle East ally, timing that itself reflects Biden's displeasure. The conversation will be overshadowed by the expected imminent release of findings on whether the king's son approved the October 2nd, 2018 killing of Jamal Khashoggi, a critic of the Crown Prince, inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. And finally, in entertainment news, 60 Minutes and Equalizer's strong Sunday punch for CBS. Queen Latifah is becoming a TV star for CBS at a time broadcast networks can really use one. Latifah's drama The Equalizer was the most popular scripted show on television last week, the Nielsen Company said, trailing only first place 60 Minutes and giving CBS a strong 1-2 punch on Sunday. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Enjoy.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Go with the flow of life. Release your attachment to the outcome of any stressful situation. Allow yourself to focus on the now moment as you go with the flow of life. Anxiety can cause you to tense up and resist the flow of life. You can relax as you inhale and exhale, utilizing deep breathing techniques. This will help you learn how to use your energy as you allow the universe and God to work through you. Nervous energy can be the result of stress and work obligations. You can choose to focus on the task at hand rather than the outcome. Release your anxious hold and stop fighting against the current of life. Today, release your anxious hold on anything. Stop fighting against the current and have more energy for today. As you always, enjoy the day.
As I mentioned, today's Entertainment Spotlight features author Cheryl Gray Hines, right here on Conversations Daily News. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Author Cheryl Gray Hines joined me recently on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about her journey and her new book, In Support of Myself. Here's a bit of our conversation. In the introduction of the book, Cheryl, you say that In Support of Myself is an awakening to the fact that we aren't meant to take on life alone. However, we know that so many people either feel like they have to or have taken it upon themselves. When did you first realize for yourself, Cheryl, that you didn't have to do that you didn't have to walk this road alone or go it alone?
Well, it was actually when I hit the wall. I was I used to describe myself as a type AAA personality, and not A, type AAA. And I, was going nonstop, had warnings actually from my physician, and ended up in the hospital, and was my lungs were functioning at about 50%. In terms of oxygen level, and the physician, they had indicated that I had sarcoidosis, which is similar to lupus, an autoimmune system disease, and it had actually been brought on by stress. And so, as you can well imagine, it was difficult for me to even climb a flight of stairs, it would take literally an hour or more to do a very simple task, and I realized that I had to ask for help. It wasn't optional. And so that was the beginning of a journey for me to learn that I couldn't take on life as I thought I had learned by myself from all the messages that had been conveyed to me.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. We'll be back with you guys on Monday with more news, Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let's make it a great one.